And I asked a generic question for the intros. I said, what brings you happiness? And she thought about it, and I cajoled her into it. And I said, you can answer it, and she said, without much thought, she said, my kids. She said, there's nothing better than sitting around the table, having dinner, talking with the kids, having a glass of wine, and just hanging out. Or as they might say, chilling, I think my kids say. We're just chilling. And it's really cool. That really brought some warmth to my mind because I enjoy nothing more than catching up with my kids and their friends too. It's really fun. She is going to speak 8 to 10 minutes this morning. She is going to, her objective with her speech is to share an idea. Share an idea. The title of her speech is The Spirit Within. The Spirit Within. Please welcome Peggy Jondahl.
Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, my friends, I would like to share something with you this morning. And what I have to share is an idea. It's not my idea. It belongs to a wonderful woman that I met recently named Brenda Euland. Miss Euland has a lot of ideas and a lot to share. But her most important effective theory is this, that everybody has talent, is original, and has something important to say. And I'll say that again. Everybody is talented, original, and has something important to say. Now, I learned and discovered this idea when I read her book titled, If You Want to Write, which she wrote in 1938. And I wish I had met her when she was alive, but she died in 1985 at the age of 93. She left a wonderful legacy in this book because it is not just about writing. It's about art, independence, and spirit. And when she uses the word writing in this book, she means anything that you would love to do or make. And I think this book has changed my life because it's about finding your passion. As Toastmasters, what more important thing could we learn and carry out in our speeches, but that all of us have talent, original talent, and something important to say. On a quest to prepare a speech on creativity, I read a lot of books, and I learned about the left side and the right side of my brain. I learned that we're supposed to question everything. I learned about changing my attitude and about letting go of childhood inhibitions. Now I know for a fact I spent the first 3 years of my life in a playpen with not much stimulus. And I was pretty much ready to give up on every tapping into creativity because I figured it just wasn't there. And I tried desperately, and I mean desperately, to write a catchy, pseudo-creative speech on developing your imagination using anyone's theory that I thought would fit. But I found it impossible. Because I learned something else from Brenda Euland. I learned that the most important element in developing your talent is simply the truth. I found that the need to find my own creative center, my true self, is what I needed to do in order to write a speech. For Ms. Euland points out that at the center, my center, is where I will find my originality, talent, honor, truthfulness, courage, and cheerfulness. I had to find my own creative energy before I could share it with you. She talks a lot about truth. That what you write on paper and what comes out of What you write on paper and what comes out of your mouth must come from your soul. And when you reach this point of total honesty, creativity will abound. And it will be interesting to everybody because it's original and because it's true. She believes that the energy of that creative impulse comes from love in all of its manifestations. Admiration, compassion, glowing respect, gratitude, praise, tenderness, and enthusiasm. That love and imagination must be behind anything that you wish to express. And because we're all humans, we all have something to express. And if we're writing or painting, we're expressing it on paper. If we're singing or playing an instrument, we express it through our voices or through our hands. And that's all there is to it. So how do we unleash this unbridled, or this bridled up creative energy and impulse? Well, I've learned that in addition to writing purely and honestly, that I must write exactly what I want to say. That if I'm trying to write it to impress anybody, it's not going to work. It only fuels our fears and inhibits our natural talents. Ms. Hewlin taught a writing class, and she talks in her book about a student who had written about a man, a fictitious man, who had bulging muscles. And she said, she looked at her and she said, were they really bulging? And the student said, oh yes. His muscles were bulging so much that his shirt was about ready to rip. She said, okay, and that's what you write. Another example is that this year, as you all know, Bob Dylan received the Nobel Prize for Literature. And I think we can all say he pretty much did not write to impress any critics. He wrote what he wanted to. Brenda Hewlin doesn't like criticism either. She doesn't like them or the critics at all. Even our friendly Toastmaster constructive criticism will come under her fire. She especially dislikes small, niggly, fussy, mussy criticism, which thinks it can improve people by telling them where they are wrong and results only in putting them in straitjackets of hesitance and self-consciousness and weasening out all vision and bravery. End of quote. No, she thinks that our best teachers are our friends who think we are wonderful and interesting and very, very funny because we have to feel free and not anxious. So then how do we get good? The way we get good at anything, we practice. We can't expect, like I do sometimes, to write a speech every couple of months and think that we're just going to dip right back into that creative energy and captivate our audiences with our being creative. No, we must keep our imaginative powers alive by using them, by letting them out, by giving time to it. In our society, we tend to put duty first. But if you let that creative energy come first, at least part of your day, you will become happier, more enlightened, alive, light-hearted, and generous. If you think of your expression as a generosity to be shared, instead of looking at it as a conceited self-indulgence, that's what will happen. The artist William Blake has said that your creative power is like life itself. It's our spirit, as in the Holy Ghost. That our spirit is the only important thing about us. The rest is all legs and stomachs and materialistic cravings and fears. Before reading this book, I knew I had a desire, an intense, feverish desire to tap into my creative energies and tap into and develop my imagination, but I didn't know how. The most important thing I have learned from meeting Brenda Euland is to let my creative energies flourish by recognizing the talent that I do have, that I am original, and that I have something important to say. As long as I speak from my soul, from my center, from my spirit. Mr. Toastmaster.